The storm had no mercy. It screamed across the surface of the alien planet, tearing through metal, sand, and bone. The sky was alive with neon lightning, purple and blue flashes lighting up the endless wasteland. Acid rain hissed as it struck the broken hull of a crashed human ship. Inside, Captain Ray Carter was fighting to stay alive. His ship, the Horizon, had fallen from orbit hours ago after a system malfunction. He was the only one left breathing. His crewmates had gone. Every sound outside felt alive, whispering, calling. Ray's visor flickered. His oxygen gauge blinked red. He coughed, tasting blood. "Come on, just a few more seconds," he muttered, trying to restart the power cell. The storm outside howled louder, as if mocking him. Then, the radio cracked. A soft voice came through the static. "Human, can you hear me?" Ray froze. His fingers stopped moving. That voice was not from his ship. It was clear, gentle, and strange. Almost musical. He grabbed the mic. "Who's there? Identify yourself." The voice came again, calm and cold. "You are on forbidden ground. This planet is not for humans." Ray looked around in shock. "Who are you? Are you from the rescue team?" "No rescue," the voice replied. "No human leaves this place alive." Then silence. Ray's heart raced. He pulled his sidearm, staring into the storm through the cracked window. Lightning lit the horizon, and for a second he saw a tall figure standing in the distance. It wasn't human. The figure glowed faintly, silver light running down her body like liquid metal. Her face was hidden by a mask shaped like glass. When the next lightning bolt struck, she was gone. Ray's breath quickened. He checked his radar. Nothing, just static. "Maybe I'm losing my mind," he whispered. He crawled out of the wreck, holding a flare gun. The air burned his throat. The acid rain sizzled on his armor. Every step felt heavy. Then out of the shadows, a whisper. "Do not fear me, human." He spun around, gun ready. The figure stood behind him, close now. Her eyes glowed white through the mask. She was tall, graceful, not moving like a machine. "Who are you?" Ray shouted. "I am Alara, guardian of Xyrelia," she said softly. "You should not have come here." "I didn't have a choice," Ray said, coughing. "My ship crashed. I just need to contact my base." Alara tilted her head, studying him like a curious scientist. "Your kind always brings destruction. Why should I let you live?" Her voice had no anger, only curiosity. "Because," Ray said, standing tall, "I'm not here to fight. I just want to survive." Alara stepped closer. The air around her shimmered like heat waves. Survive. Interesting word. Humans fight to survive. We exist to protect. Lightning struck again. Behind her, strange shapes moved. Beasts of shadow with glowing eyes crawling on four legs. Ray aimed his flare gun. "Stay back." "They will not harm you," Alara said. "Unless I ask them to." Her calmness made it worse. She seemed in complete control of the storm, of the creatures, maybe even of his life. Ray's hand trembled. "What do you want from me?" "To see," she said simply. "To understand why you are different," he blinked. "Different? From who?" "From those who came before you." She turned and walked into the storm. The beast followed her. Before disappearing into the mist, she looked back once. "Fix your machine, human. I will return when the second moon rises. Then, I will ask you a question, one that will decide your fate." And she was gone. Ray stood there, shaking. The storm began to die down. Only the hiss of the acid rain remained. He climbed back into his wrecked ship, sealing the hatch. Inside, he slumped against the metal wall, trying to breathe. "Alara, guardian of Xyrelia," he whispered. "What the hell are you?" He looked at the radar again. Still empty. But deep in the static, her voice echoed once more. Soft, distant. "Do not run, human. I see your heart, even when your eyes lie." Ray's eyes widened. She was watching him, somehow, outside. The lightning flashed once more, and through the window, he saw a faint figure standing far away, watching the wreck. Her armor glowed brighter, reflecting the storm. She lifted her hand as if reaching out. Then darkness swallowed her. Ray sat in silence. The world outside buzzed with alien life. Every sound was a whisper, every flash a warning. He didn't know if she was friend or foe. But one thing was clear. He wasn't alone on this planet. And tomorrow night, when the second moon rose, she would come back, and she would ask her question. A question that he didn't yet know. would change both their lives forever. The second moon rose like a ghost over the shattered sky. It glowed pale green, casting soft light on the ruined human ship. Inside, Captain Ray Carter sat by the dim emergency lamp waiting. He hadn't slept. The storm had ended, but his mind hadn't found peace. He couldn't forget the voice that had spoken his name. He couldn't forget the glowing woman who walked through fire and lightning without fear. Every sound outside made his heart jump. The planet was too quiet now and too still. Then the silence broke. A soft hum filled the air. The ground shimmered, and then, like a shadow becoming light, Elara appeared again. Her armor no longer looked like metal. It shifted alive, moving like liquid silver under the moonlight. She walked closer, her feet not even touching the ground. Each step left behind faint circles of light that faded into the dirt. Ray stood holding his rifle, though his hands were shaking. "You came back," he said quietly. "I said I would," Elara answered. Her voice was smooth like calm water. "You did not try to escape." "Why, where would I go?" Ray said. "There's nowhere to run." Elara tilted her head slightly. "Humans always run. You are strange." She walked around him slowly, her glowing eyes scanning his body, his armor, his face. "You have fear in your eyes, but not hatred. That is unusual." "I've seen enough hate," he said tiredly. "I came here for research, not war." Her eyes dimmed a little, almost like sadness. "Your people said that before." "Many times," Ray frowned. "You've met humans before?" Elara looked at the horizon. "Long ago. They came to take what was not theirs. They left fire behind. My people do not forget." She turned back to him, her expression unreadable behind the mask. "Yet you are different. You fixed your machine even when you were dying. You spoke to me with no weapon raised. That is not how humans behave." Ray let out a dry laugh. "Maybe I'm just too tired to be dangerous." For the first time, Elara smiled. It was small but real. Tiredness can reveal the truth. She stopped in front of him, close enough that he could see faint lines of light moving under her armor, like veins carrying energy instead of blood. "Tell me, human, why do you fight to live when all around you is death?" Ray looked down. "Because that's what we do. We keep fighting, even when there's no reason left. We survive. That's how we prove we're alive." Elara was silent. The green moonlight reflected on her mask. "You survive," she whispered. "We see do not live like that. We are born to protect, not to feel. We obey. We do not love." The last word hung in the air like a forbidden sound. "Love?" Ray repeated, confused. "You said that like it's a curse." "For us it is," she said softly. "Our kind lost that power long ago. Emotion is seen as weakness. Only the Guardians remember what it meant." Ray took a slow step closer. "And you're a Guardian?" She nodded once. "The last one." Lightning flashed in the distance. For a second, Ray saw her face through the transparent mask. Glowing blue eyes, soft features, but not fully human. Beautiful, yes, but almost unreal. He wanted to ask more, but before he could, a low growl echoed from the dark cliffs. The beasts had returned, their glowing eyes surrounding the crash site again. Ray raised his rifle, but Elara lifted a hand. The creatures froze instantly. "They obey me," she said. "They smell your fear." "Then maybe tell them to stop sniffing," Ray said dryly. Alara's lips curved again. Another faint smile. "You speak boldly for a dying man." "I guess humor is all I have left." Silence stretched between them. Only the faint hum of her armor filled the air. Then she said something that made his heart stop. "I saved you last night." Ray blinked. "You what?" "When the acid storm reached your ship, I shielded it." "You should have died." "But I didn't let you." He stared at her, speechless. "Why?" She looked up at the moons, her voice distant. "Because when I looked at you through the storm, I felt something I have never felt before. Warmth, fear, curiosity. I do not know what it means, but I want to understand." Her gaze returned to him. "Human, will you help me understand?" Ray hesitated. He could feel the weight of her words. There was no trick in her tone, only truth, and something deeper he couldn't name. "I'll try," he said finally. Elara stepped closer, her light softly brushing against his chest. "Then you must stay near me. My presence may change you. My world may reject you. But if you wish to live, stay close to my light." He nodded slowly. The ground beneath them glowed. Strange symbols appeared around his feet, spinning in the dirt like living fire. "What's happening?" he asked. "Bonding," she said quietly. "A promise between us." And as her hand reached out to touch his shoulder, the air shimmered. The crash site vanished in a burst of light. Ray's world went white. And when he opened his eyes, he was standing in a place beyond the storm, a valley of floating lights and silver trees. The woman of light had brought him to her world. And his life, from that moment, would never be the same again. Ray's eyes blinked open to a world that looked like a dream. He stood on smooth white ground that shimmered like glass. The air around him glowed faint blue, and above him floated hundreds of orbs of light, drifting slowly like living stars. Strange silver trees with crystal leaves rose high into the air. Rivers of light flowed through the valley, glowing softly as if alive. He turned around, heart pounding. His ship was gone. The crash site was gone. The storm was gone. And then he saw Elara standing a few feet away. She looked different here. Her armor was softer, almost transparent, and her light was brighter. She didn't walk. She glided, the air bending beneath her feet. Where am I?" Ray asked, still dizzy from what had happened. Elara's voice echoed gently through the valley. "This is the inner realm of Xyrelia. No human has ever stood here before." Ray turned slowly, taking in the endless beauty. "It's unreal. It is forbidden," she said. "Even for my kind," Ray frowned. "Then why bring me here?" "Because the outside world watches us," she said. "Here, no eyes see, no laws reach." Ray looked at her face, and half hidden behind her shimmering mask. "You talk like your people would kill you for this." "They would," she said simply. He stepped closer. "Then why risk it?" Elara didn't answer right away. Her light flickered softly like a heartbeat. Then she turned away and began to walk toward a glowing pool in the center of the valley. Ray followed her, his boots crunching softly on the glassy ground. When they reached the pool, he looked down it and gasped. It wasn't water. It was memory. He saw images floating in the surface, war, fire, ships burning in space. He saw humans and Xyrelians fighting, planets exploding, whole cities falling. "What is this?" he whispered. "Our history," Elara said quietly. "The truth your people forgot." She waved her hand, and the surface of the pool rippled, showing scenes of humans in armor, shouting orders, planting flags on alien soil. Then came explosions, waves of fire burning through alien forests. Ray shook his head. "No, that can't be right." "We didn't, you did," she said softly. "Hundreds of years ago, humans came here to take our energy crystals. We called them the stars of life. Your kind called them power sources. When we refused, they brought war." He couldn't look away. The images showed devastation. Light creatures falling, burning, disappearing into smoke. Elara's voice grew softer. "Our people won the war, but in victory we lost something precious. We learned fear. We forgot emotion. We sealed away everything that made us alive. We became only protectors, not feelers, not dreamers." She turned toward him, her eyes glowing brighter through the mask. "And that is why humans are forbidden here, because your hearts remind us of what we lost." Ray looked down at the glowing pool again. "And what about you? You don't sound like the others." Elara's light dimmed slightly. "I am different. I was created to remember what emotion feels like, so that my kind never forgets the cost of love." "Created?" he asked softly. "Yes," she said. "I was not born. I was made." The words hung in the air like a secret too heavy to carry. Ray took a deep breath. "So you're not alive?" Elara looked at him sharply. "I am alive, but not like you. My light burns because I want it to. That is life enough." For a moment they just stood there in silence, human and alien, past and future, both broken in their own way. Then she raised her hand. The mask on her face flickered. "You asked me before who I am," she said quietly. "Let me show you." The mask began to dissolve. Bit by bit, it turned into dust and vanished into the glowing air. Ray stepped back in shock. Her face was radiant, smooth skin made of light and glass, eyes glowing like tiny suns. Her hair floated as if underwater, strands made of pure energy. She was beautiful and terrifying. Ray couldn't speak. Elara's voice was almost a whisper. "This is my true face. Few have seen it and lived." He swallowed hard. "Why show me?" "Because you asked for truth," she said. And because I must ask you something only a human can answer. Her light grew brighter, bathing him in warmth and fear. Human. If I showed you what I truly am, not armor, not mask, not illusion, would you still stay? Ray's heart pounded. He didn't know what she meant, but he knew this was no simple question. This was something deeper, something that could change everything. He wanted to speak, but no words came. Elara stepped closer, her eyes searching his. You do not need to answer now. When the sun rises, I will show you what undressing means to one of my kind. And then, human. Her voice softened, almost trembling. You will decide whether to stay or to run. She turned away, her light fading slowly as she walked toward the glowing trees. The valley shimmered once more, and she vanished into it. Ray stood alone, his reflection glowing faintly in the pool of memory. The images of war and light still moved beneath his feet, whispering of ancient sins and forbidden love. He stared at the place where Elara had stood, her words echoing in his mind. Would you still stay, if I undress human? And for the first time since his crash, Ray felt something stronger than fear, curiosity mixed with a strange, dangerous hope. The first sunrise on Xyrelia came like a slow heartbeat. The sky turned gold, then violet, and finally white, glowing with soft energy that made the air itself hum. Captain Ray Carter opened his eyes to that strange morning light. He had barely slept. The memory of Elara's words from the night before still echoed in his head. Would you still stay if I undress human? He didn't know what she meant. The word undress sounded human, but her world followed different meanings and deeper, older. He stood and looked around. The Valley of Light was quiet. The air shimmered with silver mist. Then, far away, he saw movement, a trail of glowing footprints forming in midair, leading toward a mountain of crystal. He followed them. The closer he walked, the louder the hum became. It wasn't just sound. It was vibration in the air, like the planet itself was breathing. And when he reached the base of the mountain, he saw a structure carved into the stone, an enormous temple glowing from within. The door opened by itself, and the voice spoke, "Enter, human." Ray hesitated, then stepped inside. The temple was vast and hollow, its walls made of flowing light. Strange shapes floated in the air, symbols, memories, whispers. And at the center of it all stood Elara. She was waiting for him. Her armor gleamed brighter than ever, alive with movement, each plate floating slightly off her body like pieces of light held by invisible threads. But her eyes were different, softer, almost afraid. I thought you would not come, she said quietly. I said I'd stay, he answered. Elara walked closer, the air glowing where she moved. Then you are ready, Ray's voice was low. Ready for what? To see me as I truly am, she said. She raised her hand. The air rippled around her. The walls of the temple began to hum louder. Rays of light gathered around her body like waves folding inward. Ray watched in silence as the first layer of her armor dissolved, turning into silver dust that drifted into the air like fireflies. Underneath it was not skin but something transparent and glowing, energy shaped into form. Elara closed her eyes. Each piece I remove weakens my shield. My kind wears this light to survive the world's energy storms. Without it, I am open. Ray took a step forward. You don't have to do this, her eyes met his. I do. Because no truth is worth hiding. Another layer peeled away, floating upward and vanishing into the ceiling of light. The floor beneath them began to vibrate. Crystals lit up. Outside, thunder rolled across the valley. Ray could feel it and the planet reacting to her. Her emotions weren't just inside her. They lived in the world around her. What's happening? He shouted over the rising hum. My world feels me, she said softly. It knows I am changing. The last plates of armor lifted away, leaving her standing in a shimmer of glowing mist. She looked fragile now, not a warrior, not a guardian, but something alive and pure. Her body wasn't flesh, it was energy, swirling with color and light like a living flame shaped as a woman. Ray stood frozen. She was both terrifying and beautiful. Elara's voice broke the silence. This is my truth. This is what I hide from your kind. He could barely breathe. You're light. I am life, she whispered. Life in its raw form. My body is what binds this planet together. Every guardian before me carried the same energy. But I have done what no other dared. I showed it to you." Her light pulsed softly like a heartbeat. Ray lowered his weapon, his voice trembling. "Why me?" "Because you looked at me and saw more than a threat. Because when I spoke, you listened." She floated closer, her glow washing over him like warmth. The floor beneath them cracked with light, responding to her pulse. "You said humans fight to survive," she whispered. "Now I ask him, will you fight for truth?" Ray looked up into her glowing eyes. "If this is the truth, then yes." The temple went silent. The hum stopped. Only their breathing, his shallow, hers steady, filled the air. Then Alara reached out her hand. "Then stay. Stay and see what it means for a guardian to undress." Her hand touched his chest, warm, not burning. The moment she did, light exploded around them. Images flooded Ray's mind, her memories, her pain, her joy. He saw her birth from the heart of a dying star. He saw her kind, bright beings walking in a city of glass towers. He saw love, not human love, but something deeper, shared through light and song. He gasped, stepping back. "You showed me your soul." Alara nodded slowly. "Yes, that is what undressing means to my kind." Ray's eyes glistened. "You trusted me with this, knowing I could be afraid." She smiled faintly, her light softening. "Fear is honest." "But you did not run. You stayed." Outside, the storm began again, but this time it was not wild. It danced in rhythm with her heartbeat like the planet itself was singing. Alara's voice echoed softly through the light. "You have seen what no human has seen, and now the stars will watch what happens next." Ray stepped closer. "What happens next?" Her light dimmed slightly and her voice turned quiet. "Now, my people will come for me." And the air trembled with distant thunder, not from the sky but from the mountains beyond. They were no longer alone. The ground shook beneath their feet. A deep rumble echoed through the glowing temple like thunder rolling inside stone. The walls of light began to flicker, dimming and flaring again. Alara turned her head sharply toward the entrance, her eyes glowing brighter. "They have found us," she whispered. Captain Ray Carter took a step forward, heart racing. "Who has?" "My kind," she said. "The other guardians. They feel what I did. They know I revealed my form." Outside, the air split open with flashes of blue fire. Shapes began to descend from the sky. Tall, shining figures made of the same living light as Alara, but colder, sharper. Their armor glowed blood red. Alara's glow dimmed slightly. "They are coming to erase what they believe is a mistake." Ray clenched his fists. "Then we run." "No," she shook her head. "There is no running from light. It finds you everywhere." The temple doors burst open. 3 guardians stepped inside, their presence so bright it burned the air. They spoke in a language that sounded like thunder and wind. Alara raised her hand, her voice calm but shaking. "Brothers of light, do not harm him." Their leader's voice cut through the air like a blade. "You broke the law of silence, Alara. You undressed before a human. You shared our soul with a creature of flesh." Ray stood frozen, staring up at them. He could feel their energy pressing on his chest like a weight. "He is not like the others," Alara said, her voice trembling. "He did not come with greed. He came with heart." The leader's eyes blazed. "Heart, that is the poison of their kind." A surge of power shot across the floor, knocking Ray backward. He hit the ground hard, the air knocked from his lungs. Alara turned toward him, her face filled with light and worry. "Stay down," she shouted. Ray's body ached, but he pushed himself up anyway. "No, I won't let them take you." One of the guardians pointed a spear of energy at him. "The human speaks as if he has the right." Alara stepped in front of him. "He has more right than you know." For a moment, the temple went silent except for the hum of energy. Then the leader spoke again, his voice cold. "You risk our entire world for this creature." "Why?" Alara looked at Ray. Her eyes softened. "Because when he looked at me, he didn't see a weapon or a god. He saw a person," the leader sneered. "He saw a tool to use, just as they always do." "No," Alara whispered. "He saw me." The leader raised his hand. Energy crackled around his fingers, forming a sphere of white fire. "Then he will die for your mistake." Time slowed. The blast of energy tore through the air, heading straight for Ray. He braced for pain, but it never came. Alara stepped in front of him, her light flaring so bright that the temple walls shattered. The explosion threw them both to the ground. Ray coughed, struggling to see. Elara was lying next to him, her glow flickering weakly. A deep crack ran across her chest and her light leaking like blood. He crawled to her, grabbing her hand. "Elara, stay with me." She tried to smile. "Humans, you always try to save what cannot be saved." "Don't say that," he said, voice breaking. "I'm not losing you too." The Guardians stepped closer, their weapons raised. Ray stood up, rage burning through his fear. "You call yourselves protectors, but you destroy your own." The leader stopped, his eyes narrowing. "You do not understand our ways." "Maybe not," Ray said, his voice firm. "But I understand life. I understand sacrifice. And I understand that she risked everything to show me the truth. And I won't let that be wasted." He ran to his broken wrist communicator and tore off the small reactor core from his suit. Sparks flew as he rewired it. Elara's weak voice reached him. "What are you doing?" "Giving you what you gave me," he said, connecting the core to her chest. "A second chance." Her eyes widened. "Human. That power could destroy you." Ray smiled faintly. "Then I'll go out doing something that matters." He pressed the core against her light wound. It glowed violently, white, then blue, then gold. The energy flowed from him into her, burning through his veins. His body shook as light crawled up his arms. Elara gasped, her glow returning, stronger, brighter. She sat up, her eyes wide with tears of light. "Ray," she whispered, "you gave me your energy." He could barely stand. "Guess I had some to spare." The other Guardians stepped back, shielding their eyes as Elara's power exploded outward. When the light faded, she was standing tall, whole again, her glow blazing like a star. She turned to her kin, her voice deep and powerful. He chose to give, not to take. "This human did what we forgot long ago," he shared his light. The Guardians hesitated, their red armor dimming. The leader lowered his weapon. "What do you want, Elara?" he asked. "I want freedom," she said firmly. "I want to feel again, and I want peace with them." The silence that followed felt endless. Then the leader bowed his head slightly. "Perhaps we have been blind." Elara turned to Ray, kneeling beside him. His eyes were half open, his breathing shallow. She touched his face gently. "You stayed," he smiled weakly. "Told you I would." And as her light surrounded him, his heart slowed, but not in pain, in peace. Her tears glowed as they fell. "Your answer changed everything." Outside, the storm cleared, and the twin suns of Xyrelia rose together for the first time in centuries, as if the world itself had finally forgiven its past. The sky tore open, not with thunder, but with light. A giant crack appeared above the temple, spreading across the heavens like broken glass. The world of Xyrelia groaned in pain, its silver mountains trembling, its rivers of light rising into the air. Elara held Ray Carter in her arms, his human body weak and glowing faintly from the energy he had given her. His heartbeat was slow but still there. "You should not have done that," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You gave me part of your life." Ray forced a smile. "Guess I'm a bad listener." She looked down at him, her light flickering with emotion she didn't fully understand. "You are dying, human." "Not yet," he said softly. "Not while you still need me." The ground cracked. A violent beam of light shot upward from the heart of the planet. A signal. "They know," Elara said. "The High Council has seen what I've done. They will come to erase this world." Ray's eyes widened. "Erase it? You mean destroy?" "Yes," she said, cutting him off. "To them, corruption must be cleansed. They believe emotion weakens the light. And I am now their proof." She stood, cradling him close. Her glow brightened. "We must leave." "Leave? Where?" "To the veil between worlds," she said. "A place even they cannot reach." The temple began to collapse around them. She raised her hand, forming a sphere of light. The energy wrapped around them both, and the world fell away in silence. When Ray opened his eyes, they were falling through color, a tunnel of swirling blue, purple, and gold. He couldn't feel his body. He felt like a ghost drifting beside her. "What is this?" he asked weakly. "The path of passage," Elara said. "A road between realities. But it's unstable. My kind never travel it with mortals, then why risk it?" She turned her glowing face toward him. "Because you gave me life. I will not let it be taken again." Suddenly the tunnel shook violently. Streaks of red light tore through the flow, like claws ripping the air apart. "They are following," Elara shouted. Figures of burning white light appeared behind them. The pursuing Guardians. Their bodies were sharp like blades, their eyes empty of mercy. Ray gritted his teeth. How do we lose them? I cannot, she said. But I can outshine them, she spread her arms. Her light exploded brighter than 1,000 suns. The tunnel screamed in color, twisting and bending. The chasing guardians shrieked, their forms cracking under the power. But the strain was too much. Alara faltered, her glow flickering. Ray reached for her hand. Alara, stop. You'll burn yourself out. I can't stop, she cried. If they reach us, they'll take you and destroy me. Her energy pulsed wildly. The tunnel began to collapse around them. Ray did the only thing he could. He pulled her close, shielding her with his own body, even though she was made of pure light. Ilara's eyes widened. Why are you doing this? Because I said I'd stay, he whispered. A single tear of light rolled down her cheek, her first true tear. Then, the tunnel shattered. They fell through silence and landed hard on solid ground. Ray coughed, gasping for air. Around them stretched a strange, endless desert under a black sky filled with swirling galaxies. Where are we? He asked. Ilara looked up at the shifting stars. Nowhere. This is the void between, she helped him stand. He was weak, pale, and trembling. The glow on his chest, the mark of her energy, flickered faintly. You are breaking, she said softly. I've been broken for a long time, Ray said, trying to smile. Ilara's eyes softened. She touched the side of his face. Your species feels too much. That's what makes us human. She nodded slowly. And that is what we lost. Suddenly a roar echoed across the desert. From the horizon, one last guardian descended. The leader, cloaked in black flame. His armor burned like a star, his voice booming across the void. Ilara, you defy the council, you break the code, and you dare to love a mortal? Ray tensed. Love? The word hung between them like thunder. Ilara's voice was calm. I do not dare to love. I choose to. The guardian raised his blade of light. Then die for that choice. Ray stepped forward, his knees shaking. You'll have to go through me first, the guardian sneered. You are nothing. Maybe, Ray said, gripping the sidearm he'd carried since the crash. But sometimes nothing changes everything, he fired. The shot hit the guardian's chest, harmless against light, but it gave Ilara a single second. She lifted both hands, drawing energy from the stars above. The sky itself answered. Light poured down, flooding the desert. The guardian screamed as his body cracked apart, his flame extinguished in a storm of gold. When it was over, the silence returned. The desert was glowing, alive again. Ilara fell to her knees, exhausted. Her light was dim, trembling. Ray crawled to her side. Hey, he whispered. You did it. She looked up at him, her eyes soft. No, we did it, Ray smiled weakly. So what now? She looked toward the stars. Now we rest. The chase is over, but the council will not stop forever. He leaned back beside her, breathing hard. Then we'll be ready. Ilara turned her head toward him. Human, your light is fading. You will not survive long here. Ray closed his eyes. Then let's make this moment count. She placed her glowing hand over his heart. Their lights, human red and alien gold, merged slowly, forming one soft pulse. And for the first time in her long, empty life, Ilara felt peace. Silence. The storm of stars had faded. The endless desert of light was calm again, glowing faintly under the gaze of two suns that were not suns at all, but swirling galaxies, pulsing softly in rhythm with Ilara's weakened heartbeat. She sat on the cold ground, holding Captain Ray Carter in her arms. His skin was pale, his breath shallow, his pulse slow but steady. The faint glow in his chest, the mark of her bond, flickered like a dying flame. Ilara brushed her fingers over his face, her touch leaving trails of golden light. Your body cannot live here much longer, she whispered. This place eats time. You are fading. Ray opened his eyes barely. Then I guess I'll fade with a view. She smiled softly, sadness in her light. Always with humor. That's how humans hide fear, he murmured. Ilara looked up at the galaxies above. We were not built to fear. But maybe that is why we stopped living. For a while neither spoke. Only the faint hum of the void surrounded them. A calm heartbeat of two souls that should never have met. Finally Ray whispered, You said your people fear emotion. Why? Alara's eyes dimmed. Because long ago, when we felt, we created and destroyed in equal measure. Our love made stars, but our jealousy burned them. So we chose silence. We erased feeling from our code. I was made to remember emotion, but never to use it. She looked down at him. Until you. Ray tried to smile. Guess I broke the rules again. You broke me, she said softly. And yet in that breaking I found myself, he laughed weakly. You sound almost human. I learned from the best. Her voice trembled as she spoke. Ray, you gave me part of your life force. It still burns within me. If I return it now, I might save you. He shook his head slowly. No, don't you dare. She frowned, tears of light forming in her eyes. You don't understand? I do, he said. You're meant to protect life, not waste it. You have a whole world to change. Don't throw it away for me. But I want to, she said suddenly, the words breaking out like a storm. I want you to live. I want to hear your voice again. Her voice broke. She pressed a glowing hand to her chest where her light pulsed wildly. I want something my kind doesn't even have a word for. Ray reached up, weakly brushing her cheek. You don't need a word. Just feel it, she leaned closer. Then tell me, human. Tell me one more time. Why did you stay? He looked at her. At her glowing face, her trembling light, her fear and hope mixed into something painfully real. Because you undressed, he said softly. Elara blinked. Undressed? Not your armor, he said. Your heart. She froze. Ray's voice was weak but steady. You showed me what no one ever dared, a truth. You didn't hide behind duty or rules. You let me see who you are. That's what humans crave. Connection, real, messy, dangerous connection. He smiled faintly. So yeah, I stayed. Because you're the bravest thing I've ever seen. A single tear of pure light fell from Elara's eye, landing on his hand. Where it touched, his skin shimmered faintly, his heartbeat flickering stronger for just a moment. She whispered, Your answer. It changed me. Her voice trembled, heavy with emotion. When I look at you, I don't see a human anymore. I see hope. A light wind stirred the desert, but it wasn't wind. The galaxies above began to move, spinning faster, brighter. The ground trembled with warmth. Elara looked up, realizing what was happening. They are watching us. My people, the entire council. They are seeing what we feel. Ray chuckled weakly. Good. Maybe they'll finally learn. The light around them began to shift, and not white or gold, but a mix of colors. Thousands of hues swirling together. The void was changing shape, becoming something new. Something alive. Elara's light flared bright again. They are not angry, she said in awe. They are listening. Her voice cracked with emotion. Your heart. Your words reached them. Ray smiled faintly, his breathing slowing. Told you humans are loud. She bent close, holding him tightly. Don't leave me now. He looked into her glowing eyes. I'm not leaving. I'm just becoming light. And with that, his body dissolved. Not into death, but into particles of glowing dust that rose slowly into the air. His light joined hers, merging into her chest in one final pulse. Elara gasped, her body shining brighter than ever. The ground beneath her split open, and from it grew towers of light, rivers of gold, and forests of shimmering crystal. The void itself bloomed with life. She stood there, radiant and reborn, whispering his name. Ray. From the wind, his voice echoed softly. I stayed. Elara closed her eyes, tears of light falling again. Yes, she whispered. You did. The galaxies above brightened, and a single beam of light descended, touching her hand. It was warm, human, familiar. Her people's voice echoed in the air. We see now. Emotion does not weaken. It creates. Elara raised her hand to the stars. Then let this world remember him. And so she did. From her heart she released the energy he gave her. And across the universe a new constellation formed. It shone brighter than any star, shaped like a human and a being of light standing side by side. She smiled, her voice soft as the new dawn. Goodbye, my human. Wherever your soul travels, you are not gone. You are light now. And as the world of Xyrelia bloomed again with life, the legend began, of the guardian who undressed her light, and the human whose answer changed her forever.